Imagine waking up one morning in your 70s, looking in the mirror, and realizing that the way you've lived each day is now echoing back at you, not in wrinkles or gray hairs, but in the sharpness of your mind, the steadiness of your steps, and the clarity of your words. What if I told you that, even now, there's a silent tug-of-war happening inside your body every single day, a battle between the choices that keep your brain strong and the ones that quietly erode it? For too many people, the risk of a stroke feels like an abstract statistic, something that happens to other people until it doesn't. And the truth is, after the age of 70, that risk is no longer a background whisper. It's a real, present possibility. But here's the part that almost no one tells you. While you can't turn back the clock, you can absolutely tilt the odds in your favor, starting with a handful of small but intentional daily habits. These aren't fad tricks or expensive interventions. They're science-backed, life-tested, and surprisingly simple shifts in how you move, eat, rest, and think. The kind of habits that don't just extend your years, but make those years worth living. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 powerful daily practices that can dramatically lower your stroke risk after 70 and help you protect the one thing no one wants to lose: the ability to live life on your own terms. And I promise, the last habit will be the one you least expect, but possibly the most life-changing. So let's start with the one that might sound almost too simple to matter until you realize how much is at stake. Habit number keep moving, especially by walking. If your body is like a house, your circulation is the plumbing. And when that plumbing slows down, blockages happen. That's not just an analogy. It's the biological reality behind one of the leading causes of stroke. Inactivity after 70 is like slowly closing off the water supply to your brain. You might not notice it in a day, a week, or even a year, but over time, the lack of regular movement allows your blood to become sluggish, your arteries to lose flexibility, and your risk of clots to skyrocket. The good news? You don't need marathons, boot camps, or gym memberships to reverse that trend. You need steps, literal steps. Walking, in particular, is one of the most underrated medicines for both body and brain. When you walk, you're not just stretching your legs. You're improving blood flow, enhancing oxygen delivery to your brain, and triggering a biological process called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to create new connections and maintain cognitive agility. And yes, walking's benefits extend far beyond your arteries. A daily walk can subtly lower blood pressure, improve insulin sensitivity, and even stabilize your mood. The key here is consistency over intensity, a slow, steady 20 minutes every day will outshine a single exhausting session once in a while. I've seen people transform with this habit, not in flashy before and after photos, but in ways that truly matter. The neighbor who no longer needs a cane, the friend who can recall names more quickly, the grandfather who keeps up with his grandkids at the park. Let me share a story. Years ago, I met a retired high school math teacher named Leonard. At 79, he had the sharp wit of a stand-up comedian, but had recently started forgetting small things, where he left his glasses, the name of the restaurant he'd just visited. His doctor suggested medication, but Leonard wanted to try something simpler first. He started walking to the corner bakery each morning. It wasn't far, but he did it rain or shine, summer or winter. After a few months, something unexpected happened. Not only did his memory lapses become less frequent, but his mood brightened, and his doctor noticed his blood pressure had dropped. Leonard told me, "I thought I was just buying a croissant. Turns out, I was buying myself more time." That's the beauty of walking. It's deceptively powerful. And if you think you can't walk far, start smaller. A lap around your living room counts. Marching in place during TV commercials counts. The point isn't distance, it's building a daily rhythm of movement that your body can depend on. You don't wait to brush your teeth until they hurt. You do it daily as prevention. Walking is your brain's toothbrush. The takeaway? If you want to lower your stroke risk after 70, make movement non-negotiable. Treat your daily walk like a doctor's appointment you'd never skip. And if someone asks why you're so committed, tell them the truth. You're investing in the version of yourself who still remembers the punchline to the joke, still stands tall without wobbling, and still gets to decide how the day is spent. Habit number 2. Master the balance between salt and hydration. If walking is the movement that keeps your brain's plumbing flowing smoothly, then your diet, especially your salt and water intake, is the maintenance crew. And here's the uncomfortable truth. After the age of 70, many people are quietly sabotaging that system without even realizing it. Salt is one of those things that seems harmless because it's so ordinary. It sits in a cheerful shaker on the table. It's baked into bread. It hides in sauces and soups. But biologically, too much salt after 70 is like pouring sand into your arteries. It doesn't cause an immediate catastrophe, but over time it increases blood pressure, stiffens artery walls, and sets the stage for the very type of vessel rupture or clot that causes a stroke. What makes this more dangerous in older age is that your body's ability to regulate sodium naturally declines. The same portion of salty pretzels you ate without a problem at 50 might tip your blood pressure over the edge at 75. And here's the truly sneaky part. High blood pressure is often symptomless until it's too late. You could be gardening, reading, or watching TV, completely unaware that inside, the pressure is straining your blood vessels like a balloon being overfilled. But salt is only half the equation. The other half is hydration. Think of your blood like a river. When the water is plentiful and flowing, it moves debris along easily. But when it's low and sluggish, silt builds up, the current slows, and blockages form. Dehydration thickens your blood, making your heart work harder and raising your risk of clot formation. And yet, as we age, our thirst mechanism dulls. By the time you actually feel thirsty, you might already be mildly dehydrated. The fix is deceptively simple, but requires vigilance. Consciously reduce sodium and actively increase your fluid intake. That doesn't mean your meals need to become bland or joyless. It means becoming an investigator in your own kitchen. Start reading labels like a detective hunting for hidden salt canned soups, frozen meals, deli meats, salad dressings. Even seemingly healthy breads can pack more sodium than you'd expect. Once you see those numbers, you can start swapping fresh vegetables instead of canned, herbs and spices instead of seasoning packets, homemade vinaigrettes instead of bottled dressings. Garlic, rosemary, smoked paprika, lemon zest, these can give you flavors that salt alone could never match. As for hydration, make it as easy as possible. Keep a reusable bottle within arm's reach all day. Sip between activities, not just at meals. If you dislike plain water, infuse it with cucumber, citrus, or a few berries. If you're someone who forgets to drink, set a phone reminder or pair it with an existing habit. Every time you check the news, drink a glass. Every time you sit down to watch a show, top up your cup. Let me tell you about someone who learned this the hard way. A woman named Marianne, 76, came into a community health workshop I was speaking at. She'd been feeling lightheaded, especially in the afternoons, and had occasional trouble recalling words. Her doctor had ruled out major illness, but noticed her blood pressure readings were high. As we talked, she admitted that she rarely drank water, "I'm just not thirsty," and that she relied heavily on frozen dinners because they were easy. Within a few weeks of making two simple changes, swapping frozen meals for fresh salads and soups she prepped once a week, and carrying a bottle of lemon-infused water everywhere her dizzy spells disappeared, her word recall improved, and her blood pressure readings dropped to a safer range. "I thought my brain was slowing down because of age," she told me, "but it turns out it was my grocery list." The key here is control. Sodium is not your enemy in small amounts. It's essential for nerve and muscle function, but in excess, it's like a slow poison to your vascular system. Hydration is not just about quenching thirst. It's about keeping the river inside you flowing freely so nothing gets stuck. Combine the two, and you create an internal environment where your brain cells are well fed, well oxygenated, and far less likely to face the kind of clotting crisis that can steal your independence in a single afternoon. So the next time you sit down for a meal, ask yourself two questions. How much hidden salt is on this plate? And when's the last time I had a glass of water? Your brain might just thank you years from now. Habit number 3. Weaving movement into the fabric of your day. If habit number 1 was about the deliberate act of walking, habit number 3 is about something bigger, turning movement into a natural rhythm that flows through your entire day, not just a single scheduled block. After 70, the danger isn't just sitting for too long in one stretch. It's the slow accumulation of countless hours spent in stillness. It's the knitting together of sedentary moments into a pattern your body starts to accept as the new normal. That's why this habit is about breaking that pattern, injecting motion into your mornings, afternoons, and evenings until your body comes to expect it, like it expects food or air. Biologically, your blood doesn't like to sit still. When you stay in one position for long periods, especially as you age, gravity encourages blood to pool in your lower body. Circulation slows, tiny clots can form, and your blood vessels lose the flexibility they once had. Your brain and organ that demands a constant, rich supply of oxygen ends up getting less than its best. That's not just about stroke prevention. It's about protecting your ability to think clearly, balance steadily, and respond quickly to the world around you. Here's where this habit shines. You don't need structured workouts to reap the rewards. Daily movement can be as simple as swaying to music while you make tea, stretching your arms above your head when you stand from a chair, or tending to a small garden. The goal is to keep your muscles and joints in frequent use, your heart rate nudging upward multiple times throughout the day, and your brain reminded that your body is still an active, engaged machine, not a parked vehicle gathering dust. One of the most inspiring examples I've seen came from a man named Roberto, 82, who lives alone in a small house by the coast. After his wife passed, he stopped going out much and told himself he'd earned the rest. Within 2 years, he'd gained weight, his knees ached constantly, and he struggled with mild depression. A friend convinced him to join a community gardening group, not because he loved plants, but because it would get him out of the chair. The change was dramatic. Tending to rows of tomatoes, crouching to pull weeds, walking back and forth for tools, none of it felt like exercise to him. But within months, his blood pressure dropped, his mood lifted, and he began sleeping more soundly. He told me, I went there to pass the time, but it turns out I was giving time back to myself. Science backs Roberto's story. Even small bursts of physical activity throughout the day improve endothelial function, the health of the inner lining of your blood vessels, which directly affects stroke risk. Movement also triggers the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, a protein that helps neurons grow and communicate. In simpler terms, every time you move, you're fertilizing your brain's garden. For those with limited mobility, this habit is still accessible. Chair yoga, seated resistance bands, arm circles, ankle rotations, or even gentle seated marching can all keep blood moving and joints lubricated. If standing is an option, try light chores, folding laundry while standing, dusting shelves, or cooking a meal from scratch. If walking outside is too much, pace around your living room during phone calls or stand up during commercial breaks. The measure of success here isn't sweat, it's frequency. Think of it like sending your brain little love notes throughout the day. I'm still here, I'm still moving, I'm still keeping us ready. And there's another subtle benefit: movement changes your relationship with time. Days feel longer, not because you're bored, but because you've filled them with more moments of engagement. Instead of hours blurring together, they're marked by small bursts of action that make you feel purposeful and capable. That sense of agency is, in itself, protective for your brain and emotional health. The truth is, no one regrets a day where they moved more. You never hear someone say, "I wish I'd spent more hours sitting." But the regret of missed movement can show up in ways that are hard to reverse: slower recovery from illness, more falls, less independence. This habit is your insurance policy against that future dot. So as you move through your day, ask yourself, where can I add 5 minutes of motion right now? And then do it. Stand, stretch, sway, step, anything to remind your body that you're still in the game. Habit number 4, know your numbers. Protect your brain. If there's one health measure that quietly determines the fate of your brain, more than almost anything else after 70, it's your blood pressure. High blood pressure is the uninvited guest that can sit silently at your table for years, smiling politely while slowly dismantling the foundation of your health. They call it the silent killer for a reason. You can feel perfectly fine right up until the moment a vessel in your brain bursts or a clot blocks critical blood flow. By then, the damage is often permanent. But here's the thing: blood pressure is one of the most controllable risk factors for stroke, and the tools to monitor it are more accessible now than ever. Think of your brain as a delicate city, and your arteries as the highways feeding it with life. When blood pressure is consistently too high, it's like sending cars down those roads at double the speed limit, day after day. The asphalt cracks, small potholes form, and eventually a major collapse becomes inevitable. The tragedy? You could have slowed the traffic and avoided the wreck if you just checked the signs. After 70, the stakes get higher because the elasticity in your arteries naturally decreases. This makes them more vulnerable to the wear and tear of high pressure. The earlier you spot a trend upward, the sooner you can take action, sometimes without a single prescription, simply through lifestyle changes. But too many older adults avoid checking their numbers. Some fear bad news, others think, "I feel fine, so I must be fine." That's like assuming your car engine is in perfect shape because it hasn't broken down yet. Let me share the story of Ruth, a 74-year-old retired nurse. She had spent her career telling others to monitor their blood pressure, but stopped checking her own after retirement. "I was healthy. So why bother? She told me. Then one afternoon, she felt a wave of dizziness while baking bread. She brushed it off, but her daughter insisted they check her pressure. It was alarmingly high. A doctor's visit revealed that she'd been running dangerously elevated numbers for months. Ruth started a simple routine, tracking her blood pressure. Twice a week at home, walking every morning, reducing processed foods, and practicing 10 minutes of deep breathing before bed. 3 months later, her readings had improved so much that her doctor reduced her medication. The hardest part, Ruth admitted, was realizing I should have been doing this years earlier. That's why I tell people to treat blood pressure. Check's the way you treat locking your front door. It's not a chore, it's basic self-protection. A home monitor costs less than a nice dinner out, and checking your numbers takes less than 2 minutes. Keep a small notebook or use your phone to track trends. Show these numbers to your doctor. Don't rely on memory. And remember, normal doesn't mean always safe. What's normal for one person might still be high for another if their vessels are already weakened. Managing blood pressure doesn't always require dramatic measures. Start with small, targeted steps. Reduce sodium, see habit number 2. Eat potassium-rich foods like bananas, spinach, and sweet potatoes. Move daily, habit number 1 and number 3. And learn ways to manage stress. Meditation, slow breathing, even simply sitting quietly and watching the world outside your window. Sleep, too, plays a huge role. Poor rest can spike blood pressure. So habit number 5 will tie directly into this. The truth is, your blood pressure number is like your brain's weather forecast. If the storm clouds are gathering, you want to know. In time to take shelter, not after the flood has already begun. If you're over 70, knowing your numbers is not optional. It's the steering wheel that keeps you in control of your future. Habit number 5. Sleep like your future depends on it, because it does. There's a dangerous myth floating around that sleep somehow becomes less important as you get older. That a restless night here and there's just part of aging. The truth? After 70, quality sleep isn't a luxury. It's the nightly maintenance crew for your brain. And when you shortchange it, you're leaving critical repairs unfinished. Stroke prevention isn't only about what you do while awake, it's also about what you allow your brain to do while you're deeply at rest. During sleep, your brain is anything but idle. It's actively clearing out waste products, repairing blood vessels, balancing hormones, and reinforcing neural pathways that protect your memory, mood, and decision-making skills. This cleaning crew, known scientifically as the glymphatic system, works best when you're in deep, uninterrupted sleep. But cut the night short or keep it shallow, and the garbage piles up. Over time, this accumulation increases inflammation, raises blood pressure, and disrupts heart rhythm, 3 major contributors to stroke risk. Many older adults dismiss poor sleep as inevitable. I wake up at 3 a.m. and can't get back to sleep. It's just age, they say. But more often than not, it's not age, it's habits. Bright screens before bed, caffeine too late in the day, erratic bedtimes, an overheated bedroom, or even untreated conditions like sleep apnea are all fixable culprits. The payoff for fixing them isn't just feeling more rested, it's measurable protection for your brain. Take Daniel, 78, for example. A retired carpenter. He'd been feeling foggy during the day, forgetting tools in the workshop, misplacing his phone more often. His doctor initially suspected mild cognitive decline. But during a routine checkup, his daughter mentioned that he fell asleep in his recliner most nights with the TV blaring and would wake at 2 a.m. to stumble to bed. The doctor suggested a sleep reset, turning off screens by 9, dimming the lights, reading for half an hour, and keeping the bedroom cool and dark. Within a month, Daniel's focus sharpened, his blood pressure improved, and his daughter swore he was telling better jokes again. I didn't know how much my brain needed me to rest. He told me, improving sleep after 70 isn't about chasing perfection. It's about stacking small wins. Start with a consistent bedtime and wake-up time, even on weekends. Limit caffeine to the morning and avoid alcohol right before bed. It may help you fall asleep, but it fragments your rest. Make your bedroom a sanctuary. No clutter, no screens, just a cool, quiet space your body learns to associate with deep rest. If noise or light is an issue, try blackout curtains or a white noise machine. And if you suspect sleep apnea, a loud snoring, frequent waking, morning headaches, get tested. Addressing it can dramatically reduce stroke risk. The real power of sleep is how it amplifies every other habit on this list. Movement, healthy eating, hydration, and blood pressure control all work better when your body is fully rested. Sleep is the silent partner that multiplies the benefits of everything else. You do neglect it, and you're cutting the legs out from under your own efforts. So the next time you consider staying up late just to finish one more episode, remember, you're not just sacrificing a little rest, you're giving up a night of brain repair that could keep you independent, steady, and sharp for years to come. Protect your sleep like you'd protect your most valuable possession, because in many ways, it is. Reaching 70 and beyond is not just about adding more years, it's about adding more life to those years. Stroke prevention isn't a single dramatic intervention. It's the sum of consistent, intentional choices, moving daily, managing salt and hydration, weaving activity into every hour, knowing and controlling your blood pressure, and giving your brain the sleep it craves. You don't need to overhaul your life in one sweeping gesture. Start with one habit, then another. These are not just health tips. They're investments in your independence, your clarity, and your joy. Your brain is always listening to how you treat it, and your heart, blood vessels, and nervous system are all taking notes. The best time to start protecting them was years ago. The second best time is today.